So the other day I did a video on the history of Monza's infamous Oval, a track that was feared by most of the people that set foot on it due to its place as Europe's so-called Cathedral of Speed. 2 steep bankings, paved with concrete, with sports cars towards the end of the 1960s nudging 200 miles an hour, albeit having the track broken up by a couple of bus stop chicanes to try and slow them down. And in another video I did earlier this year, I took a Formula 1 car to the combined layout to see what would happen if Formula 1 was to revisit this 10km high-speed layout, last seen in Formula 1 in 1961. Would the battery survive more than 2 laps because there are only 2 braking zones? And more importantly, would the engines last? Because I worked out that the distance between Parabolica, round the oval and up to the Lesmo where the cars would be braking, totaled longer than the Mulsanne Straight. And in another video I did this year, I looked at the race of 2 worlds, USAC or Indycars versus Formula 1 and Le Mans cars. Now obviously the Americans won because USAC cars were designed to run on high-speed ovals and the Europeans thought the race was just too insane. But in the video I did on the oval the other day, I mentioned that the powers that be at the track want to reopen the oval and run stuff on it once again. But what would they run? And could they be run safely and or unrestricted? So that gave me an idea. I've done F1 cars at some old circuits. I've done modern Le Mans cars at the 1967 Le Mans layout, so why not do modern IndyCar on the Monza Oval? Now luckily rFactor 2 has both official IndyCar content and a version of the Oval. And I know what people are going to say, what about iRacing? I've got iRacing, I just haven't renewed my subscription. So let's look at getting this car set up and then get into some driving. So the first thing I had to do was reverse the setup. IndyCars on ovals want to fall over to the left, so they have a little bit of right input on the straights. I need to do it so that the car wants to turn right into the corners because this track is clockwise. Just gotta hope it works, but it doesn't. You can't reverse the setup on the camber side of things, so I've got to run it as is. The car's going to want to turn to the left in a straight line, and then try to turn left in the corners, so yeah, it's probably going to knack a top speed a bit. So then, here we are leaving the pit lane at Monza, or Brianza as it is in rFactor 2, straight through turn 1, just going up through the gears, and you can see already that the track is, well, it's mighty bumpy. You can see the speed there climbing up through 200. This is in miles an hour because we're working in American units. And actually here in the UK we do use miles an hour, and I try to go back and forth between kilometres and miles, but once I go above 320, which is 200 miles an hour, I can't do the maths anymore. So we're doing about 225 coming into the second banking, the south banking here, which would take us back onto the start-finish straight. You can see that the car is being shaken around. You see a direct drive wheel as well and no power steering. So the car's trying to pull to the left. I want to pull it to the right. It was actually killing my hands. These direct drives are very, very, very strong. So 226, give or take, into turn 1, just scrubbing up the speed. Because obviously the car's trying to turn left. I want to turn right. It's down to about 212 miles an hour. And then you just get all the speed back in a straight line because there's very little drag on a IndyCar when it's set up. Using the Indianapolis setup for this, so it's just trimmed out for straight line speed, trimmed out for the ovals as well, so it's basically behaving how it should, although in reverse. So coming through the second banking again, 216 peak there, and then across the line to do a 43.6 that is. So we're going to go around one more time just to see if I can eke out some more speed. 220 at the midpoint of this oval, a little bit quicker through here it looks like. 215, 14, hit a bump, that's just scrubbed off a bit of speed, but 214 there, so 2 miles an hour up on the previous lap, up to 225, 6, 7. Do I get an 8? Yes I do. No 9, but still 228 miles an hour. It's, car wanted to snap there. It's just so difficult to control. A lot of bumps on this track. And then come across the line again to do a, I think I did go a little bit quicker on this lap. This is a 43.4. So I took about 2/10 out on that lap. So we'll slow up and then do some setup tweaks and then get back out there. So for the setup tweaks, I just took a couple of clicks of rear wing off. I put the ride height up by 1 millimeter or so, and then I also just upped the gears a little bit for a bit of extra top speed. So that's pretty much it for the setup. Coming round again to do another time lap here. So this is a huge bump on the start-finish straight. Already going faster, 226 up to 27.8, maybe 229. Yep, 229, not quite 230 as we turn in for turn 1 again. Speed being scrubbed off once again because of the nature of the setup of the car. Below 212 that time, 211, scrubbed off way too much speed, probably attacked the corner a bit too hard. This being on top of the aforementioned setup status, if you want to call it that. Was very wary about hitting that yellow wall because direct drive wheel, I would have probably ended up in hospital with broken wrists. But coming through the second corner again, this is going to be a slower lap. A little bit of a biff on the wall, trying to go as far around the outside as I could to keep the speed up. You'll notice that my best lap is a 43 dead. That was a 43.4, so I lost a lot of time there. You're only seeing the sort of second and third time laps of this. I know the car could go sub 43. I was just trying to do whatever I could, but losing far too much speed in this opening corner. 217 though, much higher top speed there. Straight out of the box with the setup changes, instantly faster. Like I say, a 43 dead was the fastest time. Coming through the second part of the oval banking now. Again, just probably turned in a bit too hard for that corner, scrubbed off a little bit of speed. Still doing 220 though through that corner, trying to take the high line all the way through. Another biff on the wall. Probably didn't do much for my time, but I'm going to cross the line here, and I think this was a 43.1. Yeah, it was. So it will do sub 43. It will do it. Let's see if I can. So one final little setup change. I just basically took all of the wing out. I mean, all of it. This is going to be a rocket ship in a straight line now. As we hit that bump again on the start-finish straight. Let's see if the top speed has been increased. 229. 230 going into turn 1 here. All gets undone as we go through turn 1. Once again, car wants to turn left. I'm trying to turn right and it's killing my hands. And then I remembered, oh yeah, on this car, push to pass is a thing. So this is probably a little bit more indicative of what the car can actually do if they smoothed it out or had a proper setup and things like that. So 230 going into the second banking. We'll do another lap with the P2P. 225 out the other side. Didn't hit the wall this time. That bump scared me every time I hit it. 230. Over 230 now. Into turn 1. Again, scrubbing off a lot of speed, but nowhere near as much as we were before. It's 217. Drops to 216, but then back up again. Push to pass on once more. Could have probably extended the gears a little more just for a bit more top speed. Was close to hitting the limiter here, but 234 into turn 2. Just trying to hold the car steady. Hands and wrists were really cramping up at this point. 226 on the exit of the second part of the oval. Push to pass button mashed. Coming up to the line. 42.3 fastest lap. Insane. So with all the testing out of the way, I think it would be more indicative of pace if I was able to get the car to do what it does at Indy in terms of wanting to fall to the left, but going the other way because of the clockwise nature of the circuit. I think this was scrubbing a bit too much speed off and the car would probably be a bit faster if it was able to go right properly. And the bumpiness of the track doesn't help either. Imagine it being snooker table smooth and having more cars running around it. It would be absolutely mega. I was going to try with the AI, but it's an old track, so they might not behave how they should. But you've at least got some indication of what they'd look like around here. Would be cool to see them on the Monza Oval, but I don't know how much they'd have to sterilise the character of the place to make it suitable for these cars to do these kinds of speeds. 235 miles an hour in a straight line. Okay, push to pass was doing some of the work, but smooth the track out, it's definitely possible. But I don't know. What do you think? Leave any opinions down in the designated comment zone and get a discussion going. And well, go down there if you thought this was a fun idea, give the video a like, and for more stuff like this, real or simulated, get subscribed with the bell on for, well, more like this. Massive thanks to the patrons of Patreon for the support, and if you want to help the channel out with expenses and stuff, particularly the image buying and that kind of thing, you can help out by heading to Patreon, my link for which is in the description, as well as there being links to Discord and my socials. Well, there's super thanks down there if you don't want to commit to that kind of thing. So until next time, I've been AdmiralLaWind. Have a great day wherever you live in the world, and I'll see you all again soon for another video. Goodbye.